Hey friends, it's Laura. Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. In here are spores of a blue oil fern. It's a plant that I got obsessed with and I am not willing to pay hundreds of dollars for. However, I am willing to buy some spores and try to germinate them. I don't know if you call it germination with spores, but we're gonna plant them, which is quite the process with spores. These aren't seeds, these are spores. So that's what we're gonna be doing. And I also have a bunch of other repotting, adding moss, a lot of different plant chores that I think I have to boil some water and things like that. So while we're doing the spores, we're gonna do some other plant chores. I'm just gonna get a lot of stuff done today because fall is upon us. Growth is gonna slow down and I wanna get some stuff done. I'm doing the ferns now because actually ferns apparently can grow all year round if they are just kept warm enough. So I will have something to enjoy during the fall and winter when my houseplants slow down. Hopefully my blue oil ferns will be growing and I can watch them grow, and that will get me through the winter. All right, so I'll just open these up. I'm hoping, I did ask the seller to send me like very clear instructions on how to germinate them. I don't know if they included those or not. Oh yes, they did. Oh, is this it? Okay, so, all right, this is what we're working with. Okay, so first of all, yay for all these instructions. The seller is on Etsy and in Canada. I'm not gonna name the seller unless the spores are successful. I just feel like I don't really know what I'm doing, and if they don't grow, it's probably not the seller's fault, so I don't want them to, you know, get any bad press because of me. Okay, so this is crazy. What? You can't even see anything in here. I really hope I didn't get scammed because I actually don't even see, like there's like dust in there. Here, maybe against my shirt you can see. I don't know. Basically it looks like dust, which I guess spores are not seeds, obviously. So that's what we're planting today. And they did include, so I ordered these spores because I was online looking at the blue oil fern and I thought, I love this plant so much, but it's overpriced right now. I don't know, maybe it's worth it, I don't know. But I found the spores and I just kind of ordered them as on a whim. I just did it, and then afterwards I thought to myself, why on earth am I ordering spores? Fern spores. I've never kept a fern alive at all. All my ferns have died, and now I'm ordering fern spores, which I know nothing about. So as soon as I ordered them, they were $20, by the way. As soon as I ordered them, I sent a message to the seller and said, could you please send instructions? So, and I've also looked online since because I wasn't sure if the person would actually send me instructions, but they did, so that's so nice. Look for, okay, so yeah, in my research about ferns is they produce spores. The spores then germinate or grow the prothali, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but the prothali, I'm gonna just say prothali, that is not actually the fern. It's sort of like a bacteria that does reproduction, and then the reproduction happens and then the fern grows. And I'm sure that a botanist could explain it better, but it's not like planting a seed. A seed germinates and grows into the plant. There's no in between, but a spore has an in-between step. Then there's steps for about like once the fern actually grows, which I will deal with later on. I have to also figure out how to care for a blue oil fern if I'm actually successful. But what I'm getting from this is I need to boil some water and clean some pots. So let's do that. Let's do that now. I'm in our kitchen now and I'm also baking bread, I forgot to mention. Not that it matters, but it smells really, really good in here. Now, is my kitchen spotless at the moment? No, but you are not going to talk about that. But let's talk about my Halloween garland, which is looking very cute. So I was originally thinking just using a terracotta pot, but then I realized we really need to sanitize this, clean this really well. And terracotta, you know, sometimes there's stuff living in the clay. all that. So I'm gonna just use plastic because I feel like you can get it way cleaner than terracotta. And I guess I'm just gonna wash this. And the reason we want things to be super, super clean is because obviously there could be other spores living in the container, left over from other plants, other soil, etc. That looks pretty clean to me. And now I'm gonna get some soil, and I guess I'll put on the water to boil as well. Okay, so I'm just using regular potting mix. In the instructions, it actually says to use compost, but I feel like soil will be fine. This is just soil with perlite. And now I'll just wait for my water to boil. I'll pour the boiling water through, and then hopefully that is clean enough. The bread is done. Looks so good. And the water is almost boiling. Okay, water is boiling. Here we go. I don't want the soil to go all over, but I want it all to get touched by the boiling water so that all, oh, I was supposed to put a towel on top. Okay, I'll go grab a towel. Okay, I'll just put like this cloth on there. So the purpose of that is just to like keep any other spores from going in while this cools, I think. And keep any like flies out or anything. Which I don't have a lot of flies, but good call. And I guess I'm just gonna put the whole kettle in. And then we're gonna have to let this cool while I do other plant chores. All right. So while we are waiting for that soil to cool off, I am going to be doing some other plant chores. I need to repot my Alocasia cuprea. She is looking absolutely stunning. The sun feels so nice. That's why I'm sorry if the lighting is bad, but this is what we're doing. She's looking stunning, but she definitely needs a bigger pot. I'm going to pot up my Ploumanii cutting, which is looking so cool. It's just in perlite right now, but it is ready for soil. And then I'm gonna add some moss to some of my anthuriums. I only have two. I'm going to add moss to the top of them. I do have some anthurium seedlings, and I added moss to the top recently on someone's advice. A few of you advised me to do that because the roots were coming out. So I added some moss, and immediately they popped out some new leaves. So that's cool. So I'm gonna go grab that stuff. I think I'm gonna work here because it's nice. I usually am in the plant room, but this is kind of a nice change. And also the sun is here. That is the main reason I'm gonna work here. It's nice for me. Okay, so here's my cuprea, and she has 3 beautiful leaves, and she recently just kind of fell over like this. And I think she just needs more soil. She's kind of becoming top heavy. We'll see what's going on in here, but she's beautiful, she's healthy, but I definitely want to get her repotted before the winter comes so that, you know, I'm not doing that in the winter and potentially putting her into more shock than necessary. So I'm just gonna go grab my plant mat and some type of bigger pot. I have to see what I have in my plant room. Okay, so this is our game shelf slash plant pot storage area. So I have a bunch of these white plastic pots, and honestly, they're really ugly, but they work well for just covering up something else, and they're a good size. So I think I'm gonna just use this and then one of those terracottas. I think that's probably the best call. Honestly, I would love to put the cuprea in a prettier plant pot, but this is what we have. Okay, so That's one thing, put that there. So still steaming a little bit. Just leave that there. All right. Let's see what is going on underneath here. Maybe I should just like do this over the tub. The soil is fine, so I don't mind just putting it back in the tub. I am looking for corms though. I don't see any. There's not even any in the roots. Sometimes they're like stuck to the roots. But no corms today. That's too bad. I was hoping to find at least one, but that's okay. She's so beautiful in the sun. Just looking in the viewfinder, it looks so beautiful. Okay, so we'll just dump that out. So I'm wanting to pot her like that, really deep in there so that she won't fall over and she can kind of expand. The roots, I mean, definitely she could have gone longer before a repot, but I don't want her falling over. And soil is Molly's Aeroid Mix. Still using that, still love it. I do have a promo code. I can't remember if it's 10 or 20 or 15% off, but I will try to remember to put that in the description box. But it's pretty well priced, I find anyway, for it has a ton of stuff in it, so I think it's a pretty good deal. It's cheaper than making your own, I find, buying all those materials and mixing them up. Okay, so that's a pretty easy plant chore. All done. Beautiful. And now she's not falling over. So one done. Okay, I'm gonna go grab my anthuriums. Here is my anthurium crystallinum, and I put a crystal in it so I remember that it's a crystallinum. And I was just gonna add moss to the top, but there is a big fat root coming out the bottom. I don't have any nice pots that are bigger than this one, so I'm going to use this one, which is a plant pot that a tree came in. That's okay, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing, but you know, like everyone, we are on a budget. I'm gonna get some soil in there. Oh yeah, and also these outdoor pots I find always have huge drainage holes, which in this case probably will be a good thing. I'm always worried about overwatering my anthuriums, so at least the water can get out. I'm just gonna, I'll just unpot this above here so all the soil just, well, no, I'll do it over my tub. Oh yeah, this one is so big. They're so chunky. And there, oh, so she does have a new leaf coming out, like a new leaf spike right there. And these chunky roots, this is why I'm adding in the moss, because I'm finding, and I'm learning about anthuriums as I go, guys. I really don't know a lot, but I'm learning as I'm going, is they like to put out roots right near the, like they almost like put roots up higher and higher. And so if you have moss there, that kind of helps guide the roots into the soil, which is where you want the roots to be. And yeah, this pot is so not the look I'm going for, but that's okay. And my other anthurium that I'm gonna repot, my clarinervium, is in the same type of pot because that's just the size. Like, I don't have pots that are much bigger than the pots that these were already in, and these have such chunky roots that they need lots of space. I feel like they also like having quite a bit of fluffiness in there. So point is, you need a bigger pot, and this is just what I have right now. You can buy really huge terracotta pots for a pretty good price, but this is going in my cabinet, and I do have some terracotta pots in my cabinet, but I just find they get so covered in whatever that stuff is that grows on the outside of terracotta. It's almost just not worth it. So anyways, here's my moss. This is still the moss that some of my plants came in, like this came with an order, but I'm reusing it because it works. And this is exactly what I did. Let me go get my seedlings and I'll show you why I'm doing this. So these are my little seedlings. These are Magnificum crossed with Crystallinum crossed with Self, little hybrids, and they had all those little roots coming out, and I put this moss in, and then this new leaf popped out right away, and this new leaf popped out right away. There is 4 seedlings in there. They're doing so well. And the moss trick just kind of helps guide those roots into the soil. At least that's what I am observing. If you have more thoughts on it, let me know. But I saw a few people doing this and a few people suggested it to me, and here we are. So this is why I'm doing it to my other anthuriums. Those are my only anthuriums that I have, those little seedlings and this crystallinum and the clarinervium that I'm going to show you next. That's all I got. I definitely love anthuriums, but I'm starting slow because they are, you know, they require a lot of care, and I don't want to acquire plants that I can't care for properly. Except apparently fern spores, which I thought I really, really needed to have. Okay, so that's all I'm doing here. I am gonna water this and moisten the moss, of course, and then I've got to find a saucer for this to go in because I don't think this is gonna fit back in the cover pot. Well, I mean it does, but it looks really stupid. So I will just get a saucer for that. Here she is. This is my Anthurium clarinervium. And she is a newish plant to me. Look at that leaf. She's a newish plant to me. I got it in that Green Spaces import. And she is doing amazing. And there is a new leaf coming in there. And so roots are good. I didn't anticipate having to repot this. I hope she won't need repotting. So I'm just going to add the moss right on top there. Probably be able to use all of this up. And just cover all those little roots that are coming out. So that's a pretty easy upgrade. And now I'm gonna go water these guys. This is a really fun way to feed your plants. You just drop it in your water and it's gonna dissolve, and then you water your plants. And I'm just gonna put the lid of my soil tub here to catch any stray water. My sink is full of other plants, so this is gonna have to do. Okay, and then we're gonna just feed and water. I think also the moss just kind of makes these look prettier. It's like a change from always seeing soil. I'm so glad I put this lid underneath because the water's going everywhere. Just kind of a change from just only seeing soil. I don't know, I've heard a few things like the moss kind of keeps critters away. We'll see. I didn't have any pest issues with these before, so we'll see. Hopefully they don't attract critters. Anyway, I'm gonna let this sit here. Then it's kind of also bottom watering because it can absorb any extra water. And I'm gonna water my Rojo Congo while I'm here. Use up that extra water. And yeah, ta-da, these are done. Here's Tater enjoying the sun as well. And I added a bunch of other, oh, I can't even see. I added a bunch of other plants to the tray just so that they can benefit from that fertilizer water, because there's actually quite a bit that accumulated in the tray. So we'll just let those soak up all that goodness. All right, and next plant chore I have to do is potting up some begonias. I have this beautiful silver dollar. There's 2 cuttings in there and they are rooting. They are ready to be potted up. And then I also have tons of these, oops, dripping water everywhere. I have tons of these begonia, I believe they're called Beginda, but they're like a pink polka dotted begonia, which I am obsessed with. This was the find of my life. I got a huge one for like $10, $5. It was, I feel, perhaps wrongly priced. And if you know me, you know that I normally put begonias in terrariums or jars or things like that. These are experiments. I already have these in jars, like cuttings of the same plant in jars. However, I want to experiment and see if I can grow them successfully in my greenhouse cabinet, because it is like 90% humidity in there most of the time. So it would make sense that I will be able to. And I would love to have more of both of these plants. So it's an experiment. If they die, it's okay. These cuttings have been rooting in the greenhouse cabinet, so they are used to the humidity already, the leaves anyway. And so I'm hoping that in addition to growing these in jars, I can also grow them in my greenhouse cabinet. So there's silver dollar. That is so stunning. This plant I feel is very underrated. This is not considered a super rare begonia as far as I know. It wasn't expensive when I bought it. And it is so, oh shoot. Moving on, and it is so stunning. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that. I'm gonna carefully put that over there. Okay, and this begonia Beginda, I hope I'm correctly calling it that. Only 2 of them have started to root. This one hasn't rooted yet. So I'm gonna leave that one in the water and just pot these ones up. And they only have little tiny roots, but begonias root so easily that I think they will be fine like that. When I plant them in terrariums, I don't even let them root. I just plant the cutting right into the soil and it usually takes off, no problem. And there we go. That is so stunning. My goodness. That is so beautiful. Gorgeous. Yeah, I definitely love begonias. They're finicky, they are drama queens, but they're worth it. My battery died and then I got distracted doing a few other things. So the light probably has changed, but the Ploumanii is still ready to be potted up. So Ploumanii, Philodendron Ploumanii is a crawler. And what's really important when potting up a crawling philodendron is that this stem is on top of the soil. The roots, of course, we want to go into the soil, but the actual stem, we want to go on top. Otherwise it will rot, or it's more likely to rot. That part needs to stay on top. Now, I'm just gonna press that in. Now, what makes that tricky is then the plant is not super stable. So I think I'm gonna use these floral pins just to kind of pin it down like it was in the perlite. Yeah, it just wants to lift right up. There. It wants to lift. It's like slowly settling in. Yeah, it's definitely gonna fall over. Redo that. It's so top heavy because this leaf is so huge. And I did think that the leaf would fall off while it was rooting up, but it still looks pretty good. Doesn't look like amazing. It doesn't look perfect, but it looks pretty good. Okay, how am I gonna do this? Just really press the soil in, but not crush the roots. There we go. Okay, it was pretty topply when it was in the perlite as well, so I just kind of had it at the back of the shelf and just hoping that it didn't get bumped or anything, and it didn't. So hopefully this will start growing a new leaf at some point now that it has soil, I hope. I'm gonna add it to my tray of plants that are bottom watering right now, and then it is time to plant the spores of the blue oil fern. I keep wanting to call it blue foil fern, blue foil fern. I just looked at the instructions one more time to make sure I'm doing this correctly. And this is nice and cool, not boiling anymore. I am going to be taking off the cloth and then quickly sprinkling the blue oil fern spores onto the soil. And then I'm going to immediately put it into a plastic bag. And this doesn't actually have to stay in a bright spot. It can stay anywhere. You actually don't want it to be too bright because that's just not what it's gonna like. So this has a piece of tape on it, which I'm gonna take off so that they don't all stick to the tape. Now, they are like basically invisible, which it would be really funny / not funny if this was a scam. There's actually just dust in here or like something really silly. Like there is really tiny little dots in there, which I hope are blue oil fern spores. So here we go. A little bit nervous. My battery is running low again. So hopefully we can do this all together. Okay, so I'm opening this up. Taking off the cloth. And of course there's soil stuck all over the cloth. And try and sprinkle them throughout the soil. I mean, it's hard to tell if they're even coming out. I'm gonna just rip open the bag to make sure I get as many as possible because they're kind of sticking. There, I'll just turn it inside out. This is really cool. If this works, I will be a scientist. And if this works, I will name the seller so that you all can try this at home. Okay. And now into the bag she goes. And that's it. It feels really anticlimactic, but if this works, I should have at least one and maybe multiple blue oil ferns someday. I don't even know. I think this might take like years, but it's exciting. This is not related to the chores I just did. These are most of my Hoyas covered in sulfur. This is my other ongoing project. I am doing a video of all the progress that is happening. So stay tuned for that. I just, you know, while the camera's on, why not show you the sad state of affairs of my poor Hoyas. They look so ugly right now, but it's okay. I have faith in this process. And then I have all of the plants that I repotted are sitting in the tray, soaking up all of that nutrient-rich water. It's really satisfying. This was a satisfying day of plant chores for sure. All right, friends, that is all of the plant chores for today. I feel like that was a lot. Maybe it didn't seem like a lot to you, but it was a lot for me. I've been looking forward to planting those spores for a long time, and now it's done, and now I just have to wait, which is going to be very difficult. I need to go vacuum. I need to go eat that bread and just enjoy the rest of my day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and stay tuned. The sulfur Hoya video might be the next video. We'll see. That experiment is kind of stressing me out, but I hope that the results are worth it. I'll let you know. Bye, guys.